Okay, Assalamualaikum. Today we proceed with the new chapter, which is the correlation and regression. Okay, so the regression analysis is a statistical method used to measure the strength of the relationship between the two variables. You know what is the variables, right? The variable adalah characteristic of interest. Apa yang kita nak kaji itu adalah variable. Okay, so now if we have two variables, and we can know whether the two variables have the relationship or not. And we also can know that the relationship is positive or negative. Okay, so apa maksud the variable have the relationship adalah let's say when the first variable is increase, okay, the value of the variable is increased, okay, and then the second variable will also increase, contohnya. Okay, so that is the relationship between the two variables. Kita boleh tengok dia punya variables have the relationship or not, and we also can know the strength of the relationship, whether it is strong relationship ataupun a weak relationship. Okay, and then also we can verify whether the relationship is positive or negative. I can explain after this. Okay, so at the end for this chapter also, you will learn about the regression analysis. But for regression analysis, I will explain later. So today, we focus on the correlation analysis first. Okay, so to check for the correlation analysis dan juga regression actually, you need to know your variable. The type of your variable is independent or dependent variables. Okay, we have two variables. Okay, to study the association ataupun relationship between the two variables, it involves at least one dependent variable and one independent variable. So what is dependent variable? Usually we will write the notation for the dependent variable ataupun the response variable as y. Okay, so y adalah dependent variable, which is the variable that being predicted ataupun estimated. So kita akan predict the y, so kita boleh nak estimate the y. So y ni adalah response variable. So kalau kita nak predict variable, we can predict the y variable, but we cannot predict the x variable. Okay, x adalah independent variable ataupun nama lainnya adalah explanatory variable. Notation for independent variable adalah x. Okay, y dan x biasanya kita akan noted y for dependent variable and x for independent variable. And y can be predicted ataupun estimated, and then y is dependent on depends on x variable. Okay, variable y depend on variable x. Okay, so waktu you nak buat regression analysis ataupun nak tengok the relationship between two variables, you need to know first which one is your dependent variable and which one is independent variable. Okay, so you kena tahu betul-betul lah how to determine the y and the x. Saya baca sikit kat sini, dia kata meaningful interpretation of the relationship between this variable can be described as changes in the independent variable are related to the changes in the dependent variable. Okay, so relationship ni juga we can define it as the changes in the independent variable are related to the changes in dependent variable. So means that when independent variable change, so the dependent variable will be changed as well. Sebab apa? Sebab dependent variable y, okay, depend on variable x. Contohnya, for this example, the association between income dan expenditure. So income dan expenditure ada dua variable income dan juga expenditure. So which one is the y dan which one is x? Okay, y adalah dependent variable, which is y depend on x. So you kena tengok logik, which variable depend on which variable. So kat sini income dan expenditure. So income ataupun expenditure will be your dependent variable and independent variable. So kat sini expenditure depend on income. Kan? Banyak mana kita spend adalah depend on income. So sebab itulah dependent variable will be the expenditure dan income will be the independent variable. Okay, this is y, this is x. Okay. Expenditure is depend on income. Okay, so kita boleh tengok relationship between these two variable. Okay, so daripada sini kita nanti bila nak tengok the relationship, kita boleh tengok whether when expenditure, okay, when y increase, bila expenditure increase, sorry, dia depend on x kan, so kita cerita pasal x dulu. Okay, sebab y depend on x. So when x increase, y also increase. Bila income meningkat, expenditure pun will be increase. When income decrease, expenditure will be decrease. Okay, in this case, contoh ni. So maksudnya kat sini, the changes in x related, the changes in y related to the changes in x. Bila x berubah, y also berubah. So because of that, we can say that these two variable ada relationship. So nak tahu relationshipnya strong ataupun weak, kita kena kira nanti. Ataupun tengok diagram. Okay, so kat sini contoh yang ni adalah when x increase, y increase. When x decrease, y decrease. Ini adalah contoh untuk positive relationship. Okay, positive relationship. Sometimes ada juga relationship between the two variables are negative, which mean bila x increase, y will be decrease. Bila x decrease, y will be increase. Ini adalah contoh negative relationship. Okay. Alright. Okay, so tengok example ni. Try to figure out ataupun determine which variable is x ataupun independent variable and which one adalah dependent variables. Age of respondent and blood pressure. So which variable depend on which variable? Blood pressure depend on age or age depend on blood pressure? Okay, so same step, the blood pressure depend on the age of respondent. So blood pressure will be Y dan age will be X. Yang kedua, hours of study and the test score. Okay, which one depend on which? Okay, seems that the test score will depend on the hours of study. So test score will be Y. Hour of study will be X. Next one, age of operator and number of unit produced. So which one is depend on which variable? Adakah age of operator depend on the number of unit produced ataupun number of unit produced depend on age of operator? Of course, this is Y, this is X. Okay, the next one, demand for prawn depend on price per kg. Depend on price per kg. So demand for prawn will be Y and price will be X. Bila demand tinggi, price juga tinggi. Okay. Okay, so we have three methods. Okay, we have three methods to determine the correlation between the variables. Okay, ada tiga cara. The first one gunakan diagram. Yang kedua dan ketiga adalah gunakan calculation. Formula dipanggil Pearson product moment correlation dan juga Spearman rank correlation coefficient. We will use product moment correlation coefficient untuk check the correlation between two continuous variable. Bila your y dan x dua-duanya adalah continuous, okay, so kita boleh gunakan yang kedua, Pearson product moment correlation coefficient. But when your variables adalah kualitatif, okay, so you need to use the third method, which is the Spearman rank correlation coefficient. Okay, so let's see the first method, which is the scatter diagram. So what is the scatter diagram? So actually I believe that all of you pernah jumpa the scatter diagram, cuma maybe you tak tahu ianya dipanggil scatter diagram. Okay, scatter diagram adalah two-dimensional graph that plotted the individual values of the dataset. The diagram plots each pair of the values at particular x and y coordinate. So, nak buat scatter diagram, kena gunakan graph paper. Okay, gunakan graph paper, which is you need to plot each pair of x and y. Which pair of x and y coordinate. So, the x-axis will be the value for x variable, dan y-axis will be the y value of x variable. Then plot the pair of x dan y. So, daripada situ, you akan dapat the diagram. Okay. So, lagi satu benda yang saya nak you take note when you draw the scatter diagram adalah title. Kena ada title, kena ada labelkan x-axis dan labelkan y-axis, depend on your variable, unit of your variable. Okay, so the scatter diagram form certain pattern. So, dia akan form the certain pattern which is increasing or decreasing, indicating that there is relationship between the two variables. So, kalau you dapat pattern increasing ataupun trend, increasing trend sama ada increasing ataupun decreasing, it shows the the increasing trend ataupun decreasing trend, indicating that there is a relationship between the two variables. Contohnya, you akan dapat sini, di sini, di sini. Okay. So, nampak trend, increasing trend contoh kat sini. So, we can say that the two variables have relationship. Okay, if the scatter diagram does not show any pattern or randomly scattered, we assume that the two variables does not have the relationship. So, if you have this type of pattern, okay, this type of pattern, here, contohnya here, 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 tak ada pattern. Okay, tak nampak. Contohnya macam tu. Tak nampak increasing pattern ataupun decreasing pattern. So, we can say that the relationship between x and y does not exist because of the plot ataupun the point does not show any pattern or the points scattered randomly. Okay, so tak ada showing any pattern ataupun any trend in the scatter diagram. So, we can say that x and y does not have relationship. Okay. So, ini contoh. Okay, but before you nak buat scatter diagram, first of all, you kena determine dululah which variable, which is the variable, x variable and which one is the y variable. Okay, so you kena determine that first. Okay, before kita buat latihan tu, I nak tunjuk dulu, nak ceritakan about the correlation, which diagram, okay, will showing the positive or negative relationship. Okay, so it is about the correlation. Correlation analysis is the study of the relationship between the two variables. Yes, the aim in correlation is to evaluate the degree of relationship or covariation that exists between them. Kita nak tahu whether the relationship is positive or negative, and the strength, whether it is strong or weak correlation between the two variables. So there is 7 different types of correlation between the variables. So means that kat sini kita boleh tengok correlation using the scatter diagram kan. So kat sini saya nak tunjuk dulu macam mana rupanya when there is positive relationship. Okay. So I tunjuk di sini. Okay. This is the example untuk A ni. This is the example of positive relationship sebab dia punya trend is increasing. Kalau trend increasing, you akan it is the positive relationship. Okay, so macam like I said just now, you lukis scatter diagram. You need to plot the pair of x and y. Just plot macam biasa. And then daripada situ you can observe whether the plot shows the increasing or decreasing pattern. Okay, increasing trend or decreasing trend. So yang ini adalah contoh positive relationship sebab ianya adalah increasing trend. It shows the increasing trend. Kenapa ianya positive? Kenapa ianya strong di sini? Okay, it is strong because of all the points dekat sini rapat-rapat. Okay, kita tengok contoh. Ini contoh untuk weak. Untuk weak, dia punya point tu jauh-jauh sikit. Memang dia nampak juga the increasing pattern, cuma dia punya point tu berada berjauhan di antara satu sama lain. So it is the we can say that the relationship between x and y is weak. Okay, positive weak relationship. Okay, ini pula adalah contoh untuk negatif. Sebab apa? Sebab decreasing pattern here. Okay, decreasing pattern. Kenapa strong? Because of the points dekat sini berada berdekatan to each other. Okay, di sini adalah negatif sebab it is decreasing trend, and it is weak because of the points lies berjauhan from another. Okay, okay. So from the scatter diagram nanti bila you dah lukis scatter diagram, then you need to interpret whether the relationship is positive or not, and whether the relationship is strong ataupun weak. Okay, and then yang ini pula adalah contoh untuk no relationship. Okay, when you plot the scatter diagram, you see that the points scattered randomly. Kan dia scattered randomly, so means that there is no relationship between x and y. Ini juga contoh untuk no relationship. Sebab dia tiada pattern increasing or decreasing. Okay, so you try to plot this example. Okay, about the working experience in years and monthly salaries for the 9 randomly selected secretaries. Okay, so first thing first, apa yang you kena buat adalah determine which variable adalah y and which variable adalah x. So monthly salary depends on experience ataupun experience depend on monthly salary. What do you think? So monthly salary will be your y and experience will be the x. Bila you nak lukis scatter diagram, wajib gunakan graph paper. Okay, your x tadi adalah experience. So you need to label the x-axis experience in years. And labelkan your y-axis sebagai monthly salary in $100. Okay, in $100. And then don't forget to put the title. Okay, so title kat sini can be the distribution of ataupun the scatter diagram of monthly salary and experience. And experience of the secretary. Okay, then plot. Okay, try to plot the scatter diagram and see whether the diagram shows the increasing or decreasing pattern, or there is no pattern at all. Okay, so this is the scatter diagram that you should draw just now for the example 3.2. Okay, so as I mentioned before this, the title is wajib, and you need to labelkan y-axis dan juga x-axis here. Okay, and then kena buat using the graph paper. Okay, let's say the first observation tadi, the first observation adalah x ni adalah 14 and y adalah 42. So you can plot it as here is 14, here is 14x dan juga y adalah 42. So di sini actually adalah your ini adalah your first observation. Kalau yang second observation pula, the second row, x is 3 and y is 24. X is 3 and y is 24. So this is the second observation, and you need to do it for each of the row ataupun each of the observation. Dan last kali you akan dapat this type of scatter diagram. So you should observe this scatter diagram, and from this scatter diagram we can determine whether the y and x ni having the relationship or not, and the relationship is positive or negative, and the strength of the relationship will be is strong ataupun weak. Okay, so if we observe here, okay, looks like there is an increasing pattern here, so we can say that the relationship is positive. And if we can see the point yang you plot tadi tu, okay, close to each other, right? Tak jauh sangat lah, kan dia nampak trend, increasing trend, dan we can say that the relationship is strong relationship. So what can you interpret from this? Okay, you can write it as there is strong, okay, dia punya strong, positive, dia punya sign positive. There is strong positive relationship ataupun association between, okay, you should mention your variable, between the monthly salary and years of experience. Okay, you should that is how to interpret the scatter diagram. You should mention the strength and the sign, and whether it is exist relationship ataupun tidak. Okay, so that is the answer.